And ladies and gentlemen, as we start our service, we're going to kindly ask that we turn off or silence all cell phones, electronic devices. Thank you.
Shalom, everyone. Just before the public moment here, we formed our own little sense of community, and we cut the ribbons. We cut the ribbons for Neil, for Scott, and Perry, and for Faye's brother, Harvey. They're torn, representing the tears that they feel spiritually and emotionally, and is their symbol of their sense of loss. I'll be joined here on the bima today by Rabbi Pamela Gottfried, who is the rabbi of Congregation Beth Tikva, and Rabbi Amy Memes-Fuller from Adeth Emanuel, where Perry is a member of the synagogue and the board. And I'm Rabbi Gary Gans, the Rabbi Emeritus from Congregation Beth Tikva. And in some circles in Northeast Philadelphia, I'm just Gary. The kid who grew up at Beth Emeth, the same synagogue as Neil. We grew up knowing each other from days gone by. At Beth Emeth, you had to buy a permanent seat in addition to your ticket for holidays. And Neil's family always sat one row in front of us and over to the left behind my family. So we knew each other. I'm honored but sad to be with the family again. But over the years, we've celebrated B'nai Mitzvah, confirmations, wedding, Shabbat services, morning minions, and opportunities to share life cycles, the joys of life, as well as Neil and Faye participating with the life cycle sadnesses of other members of our community. This is an uplifting moment when they now receive your support and your condolences as well. As a community of consolation, we reach out to Lynn, we reach out to the granddaughters, Ella and Jocelyn and Genevieve, and know that your task is to be present in their lives, to share with them their grandmother's life and loves and personality, and all that they're missing out on. And we also acknowledge Harvey and Elaine, who knew her from the youngest days as her brother. We acknowledge that each one of them and each one of you may have a different sense of loss, but we all share it today as we focus on Faye. Last week, I was filled with a variety of emotions when Neil called me and invited me to come to the hospital to be with the family at her deathbed. It's powerful. It's poignant. I was honored to be included at such an intense and personal moment. Was it filled with gloom and doom? No, not really. Because we know the Rubin humor. Neil, Scott, and Perry were telling her jokes until the very end. The nurses and I were exchanging looks like, really? I said, yeah, that's them. And those of us who've grown to know them over the course of years realize that even to the end, as they were telling jokes and laughing with Faye, This is how they dealt with life and how they dealt with death and sadness and the reality that has kept them strong. Were they distraught and distressed? Of course. But they were honoring her life and her family dynamic, just as the family requested that people think about wearing purple today. Purple was Faye's favorite color. And I'm wearing my favorite Jerry Garcia tie with a lot of purple in it, as others of you have found ways to express that as well. Purple, her color, is also an important color in life, in society, in Judaism, representing nobility and holiness, and perhaps even the heavens. So bringing your colors, her colors, here today is an expression of affinity and love for her. We have a number of different prayers and opportunities to share about Faye today. And I'm honored first to call on Rabbi Amy Memis Fuller to offer Psalm 23.
Adonai ro'i lo eksar. Binot deshet yarbetzeni. Al mei menuchot yanachaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begates al mavet. Lo irara. Ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha. Hema yanachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai. Dishanta v'shemen roshi. Kosi Ravaya. Ach, Tov, v'chesed yirdefuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai, la'orech yamim. The eternal God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul. God leads me in the paths of righteousness for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the eternal God forever.
For the many of you who are here from Congregation Beth Tikva, you've heard me offer the following prayer often. It speaks about release, relief, the sense that comes from death. I've offered it to many of our congregation families from this very pulpit. Indeed, from my very own parents. Knowing that life involves joys and challenges, that the true test of resilience and courage comes as one confronts illness, as did Faye over the course of many years. This text, written by Ben Sirach, reality tests, understands the sense of loss, the importance of holding on to life, and the reality that comes with letting go, as often important with life itself. I'll read his words, the echo through the eons, but I'll read it in translation for your benefit. We are all destined to die. We share it with all who ever lived, with all who ever will be. Cry for the dead. Hide not your grief. Do not restrain your mourning. But remember that continuing sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, let their memory be a source of peace, and be consoled when the soul departs. Death is better than a life of pain, and eternal rest is better than lingering illness. Let us not seek to understand what is too difficult for us, nor search for what is hidden, nor be preoccupied with what is beyond, for we have been shown more than we can comprehend. As a drop of water in the sea, as a grain of sand on the shore, are our few days in eternity. The good things in life last for a short time, but a good name, a good reputation, endures forever. Checking in with you before the ceremony, as is often the case, was a wide range of emotions. There was sadness, there was nostalgia, there was even joy at having seen one another if you haven't run into each other recently. This is a wide spectrum of feeling and belief that occurs as we acknowledge Faye's life, her death, and her funeral. Expressed so aptly by the book of Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Indeed, it is a time to speak and to share. I'm honored to call on Scott to come up first as the big brother to share some of his feelings too.
Hello, I am Scott Rubin, Faye's eldest son. Over time, writing eulogies never gets easier. I never in my wildest imagination thought that just over a year and a half since my family's last funeral, we would be back at it again with my own mother. It feels to me like she's been taken just too soon from all of us. I would like to use these next few moments and share some things that I remember about her fondly. Many of you today here in the chapel or watching on the live stream might know and remember details about my mother's first 25 years of life and have many fond stories about her from growing up in Philadelphia's West Mount Airy neighborhood or interacting with her from her days at Germantown High School. That's not my part of the story about Faye Sharon Rubin. Where I want to pick it up are the next 49 years, beginning from when I came into the picture. Even when I was born, I was a handful for her, as I was born over 3 weeks past when I was supposed to be. Her first child may have been her biggest challenge, but as I found out growing up, she was a strong-willed woman and was certainly more than able to handle the task. Over the first few years of my life, she and my dad took lots of pictures of me, and I have saved those photo albums as reminders of how things were back in my early days. Fortunately, my family loved taking lots of photos, and as we have been cleaning out my parents' house, I have been finding so many of them that have brought lots of great memories over the years. When I was 4.5 years old, my brother Perry came onto the scene. This completed our family, and we did so much together and have so many fond memories such as introducing me to Cub Scouts and being a den mother for Pac 33 in Marlton, which led me to eventually continue on to Marlton's Boy Scout Troop 14. Eventually, she did the same for my brother in Pac 14 many years later as well. Also, I remember the many Sundays and holidays that my mom would work in the blood bank at the old West Jersey Hospital in Voorhees, stemming from her medical technician education. She would help me out with homework while I was in school and would always be the main disciplinarian and peacekeeper in our household as well. Growing up, I remember that for breakfast, she made a delicious French toast. And many a Saturday morning, we would have scrambled eggs and bacos. Yes, I know that's not kosher, while watching cartoons. She enjoyed cooking, and while I was not fond of everything she made, such as stewed tomatoes and burnt latkes every Hanukkah when I was younger, she at least did try and wanted to make sure that Perry and I were well fed, kept clean, made sure that we had clean bedrooms, and were as healthy as possible with regular visits to the doctor. She would also take us back and forth to all of our activities growing up, such as swimming lessons, Hebrew school, sports, after-school clubs and activities, and of course, scouts. My mom took about 13 years off from healthcare and was also a part-time video store clerk at B&C Video World in Marlton near our home. Working at the video store also kept her current with the emerging technology of the 1980s and 90s. She always wanted to be the first one on the block with the most cutting-edge technology, and that was important to her. Many times, after a long day at B&C on the days she worked, she'd walk down a couple stores over in Tri-Town Plaza and bring home Little Caesars pizza for us, usually the pizza, 2 pies, and an order of crazy bread. She also wanted to keep up with the times and would listen to that era's contemporary music more often, instead of the music she enjoyed growing up with from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. I eventually realized over the years that my mom was the kind of person who never really wanted to feel grown up and was always adapting to the times. Going back to the topic of healthcare, that's my mom's bread and butter, so to speak. Even though she took about a 13-year hiatus from the field, she eventually came back to it and joined Dr. Twersky's office in Marlton in 2000 and later worked at many other doctors' offices in South Jersey for a while after that for about a decade and a half. Even with so much time off in her career between the blood bank and doctor's offices, she always kept herself current and informed about trends in healthcare during the 1990s and was a walking encyclopedia about healthcare in general. Whenever myself, Perry, or even my dad had any questions about our health, Mom was the first person we'd ask, and she'd know the answer right away, even before WebMD was a thing. In her later years, after she once again left the medical field, she found a position working as a clerk with the Evesham Municipal Utilities Authority. It was a good job for her, as she did much forward-facing work in her many other roles over the years and knew how to deal with the public while with the Evesham MUA. After leaving the Evesham MUA, she eventually pivoted to assisted living work and later landed a job with an organization called Avenues to Independent Living out of Woodbury. This role found her helping her clients with disabilities in the South Jersey area have richer and more fulfilling lives. She was proud of what she did for her clients, always would let us know what she did for them each time she visited, and performed that work right up until she returned to the hospital again last month. To sum it all up, the story of Faye Rubin over her 74 years was that she always wanted to help people no matter what she did. That was her calling card. The one thing about her that I will never forget, and she always said to us repeatedly over the years, is that you are your own best advocate. This applies to anything we generally do in life. They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and well, my mom was always that squeaky wheel. I love you, Mom. I wish you all the best, and I hope you're making sure that everyone is being taken care of in your afterlife. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. I was also one of her clients at B&C Video. Cassette tapes, you may remember what they were. She always had good recommendations, but always made sure that we rewound our tapes before we turned them back in. I'm now honored to call on Perry.
How do I follow that? Jeez. God. Leave a little meat on the bone, would you? Okay. Scott, thank you. And hello. And again, thank you all for joining us today. First off, I would like to thank all of the medical workers who assisted my mom while she was sick. Even though she was there the shortest amount of time during her last stop, I would especially like to thank the staff at Pennsylvania Hospital. They showed a true commitment to patient comfort and care. And while we're not here to celebrate, we are here to honor. Most people know my father as the world's first kosher ham. However, given the opportunity to perform in my Aunt Sharon's Murder Mystery Dinner Theater, a whole other side of Faye revealed itself. Whether it was the appropriately named Faye Dunaway, Cookie the Flapper, or Crazy Aunt Carmela, my mom put on a show that no one would believe. Mild-mannered mahjong maven by day, creative thespian by night. That's just part of Faye's story. For you see, she's had many loves in her life, starting with her favorite color, purple. And in fact, if you translate her name in the ancient Greek, I believe it means one who enjoys the color of plum. Don't quote me on that. This woman would buy anything purple. QVC selling a purple blender? Sure. How about a purple leaf blower? Absolutely, gotta have it. Purple set of storage containers? You know it. But what is truly funny is when she showed me the purple pots and pans. For anyone who knows my mother, you'll know why this truly made me laugh. What you may not know is that my mother really was a wizard in the kitchen. In fact, she made the best reservations you've ever had. Side note, if anyone here is looking for a brand new set of purple pots and pans, please see me after the service. While I kid about her housewares collection, the one thing she never joked around about was her family. They are her true pride and joy. In fact, she's one of the few people I know that doesn't have any friends because she considers all of them and all of you here today family. August 31st, 1976 brought my brother Scott into this world, and 4.5 years later, his reign was over. On February 18th, 1981, I entered the world. Hello. And so for the moment, our family was complete. During this time, my mother led us through vacations, mitzvahs, simchas, all the good times, and some sad ones too. But then wait, what's that in the sky? Why, it's the stork dropping off 3 more angels. Becoming a bubby was a capstone moment in her life. When Ella first came along after 40 plus hours of waiting, her smile was electric, and the Virtua Voorhees carpet worn out. And after Genevieve and Jocelyn arrived, there was no one happier on the planet. With all that said, her longest and strongest love was for my father. Never have you seen a couple so intertwined. He attended to her no matter what, the bizarre request, and while publicly she may have denied it, deep down inside, I know she loved the attention. For over 74 years, she's been taking care of people, whether in her early career as a medical technician or later in life as a direct support professional. In fact, her most recent career at Avenues to Independent Living gave her such joy and a renewed spirit. To hear her talk about her clients would put a smile on anybody's face. This is the kind of woman she was: genuine, honest, and loving. She would truly give you the shirt off her back, unless, of course, it was purple, then you're out of luck. Mom, in a world of Chevys, you are a Cadillac. At my bar mitzvah, my parents read to me from one of her favorite songs, Children Will Listen. Mom, I continue to be all ears. Thank you for helping me become the person I am today. I love you, and rest well.
Thank you, Perry. You've stood up well for little brothers of the world and represented the family humor traits so well, too. I call on now on my colleague, Rabbi Gottfried, to offer the El Malei Rachamim that will also be inserting Faye's Hebrew name, Fagel Sarah Bat Aharon V'chaya. I ask those who are comfortable to please stand.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Kiddushim Utehorim Kezor Harakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Fagel Sarah Bat Aharon V'chaya Shehalcha La'olama Began Eden Tehe Menuchata Ana Balarachamim Yasti Rabba Seter Knafecha La'olamim V'yitzur B'tzur Chaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Amishkava V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, Spirit of the universe, grant peace beneath the shelter of your presence among the holy and the pure, who shine with the splendor of the heavens. To the soul of our dear one, Fagel Sarah Bat Aharon V'chaya, Faye Sharon Rubin, who has gone to her eternal reward. May the Garden of Eden be her resting place. O God of mercy, guard her forever in the shadow of your wings. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of life. May she rest in peace, and we say, Amen.
You're welcome to be seated. Any potential donations made in Faye's memory will be welcomed at Congregation Beth Tikva or the American Cancer Society. There will be Shiva this evening at 7 p.m. at Beth Tikva, similar timed Monday and Tuesday evenings at the Rubin household. Again, Monday and Tuesday evenings. The interment will take place at the family plot in Montefiore Cemetery in Jenkintown. ויגור באוהליך, וישכון בהר קודשך. הולך תמיד הצדק, ודובר אמת לבבו, לא רגל על לשונו, לא עשה רעהו רעה, לחרפה לא נשא הקרובו, יגזר עיניו מעט, ואת ירא אדוני יכבד. מפר